All right, welcome back. So, I really just wanted to kind of casually talk to you a little bit today about some of the paradoxes we talked about. This is the list of paradoxes. Hopefully, you guys went through this, took a look at it, and again, what I asked you yesterday is to kind of tell me some of your own personal experiences around these paradoxes and how you have known them to be true. So, if I'm going to ask you to do this, I feel like I kind of have to do it as well. So, we're going to take a look at several. I asked you guys to fill out three. Yeah, I asked you guys to fill out three. We're going to look at a couple. Uh, I'll start, and I will just kind of tell you my own personal experience. I'll try to make this quick so you don't have to listen to all of it. But again, if I'm going to ask something of you, I feel like I have to be willing to do it as well. So, number three, let's look at that one. So, the more you try to impress people, the less impressed they'll be. Anytime. Whoop, excuse me, I almost dropped my mic. Anytime that I've ever tried to like impress someone with how strong I am, how smart I am, how irresistible I am, like, trying to find a girlfriend or, impress, like, impress somebody for a job or some type of opportunity. Anytime, like, that is my main goal instead of just like doing what I know I need to do and more so like worrying about what people think of me and trying to impress them, the worse things get. Because at that time, you're not being authentic, you're not being real, and people can see through that. You're kind of putting on, for better sake, you're putting on a mask, putting on a facade. Again, it's not real. For some reason, human beings have this innate ability to see through people that are, again, being fake, even if it's just the vibe. Like me, I'm big on vibes. If I don't get a good vibe from you, um, I know there's a reason for it. I may not be able to tell you that reason, but I know there's something off. And it's not, I don't know. So it's not that I have something against you. It's just like, well, if, you know, I guess push comes to shove, like, I don't know how much I can trust you. I don't know, something off. And so when we try to impress people, we become less of ourselves and more of what we expect that person wants us to be. And so, like, imagine if you do this, like trying to find, oh, my hair is jacked. Imagine you try to do this, or imagine you do this trying to find, like, still jacked, trying to find a significant other, right? And you put on this front, this face, this facade, this mask that you're something or you're someone different than who you actually are. Well, what happens if you get married? Like, are you going to keep doing this? Eventually, they're going to find out who you are. So it's not only like, even if you do impress someone that you're trying to impress, like, at what cost? At what cost? Then essentially, at the end of it, you don't want to try to impress them anymore. So the best thing to do is just to kind of, again, just be yourself. And I know that's, oh, that's stupid. That's what you tell little kids, and that's true. That's true, but that doesn't make it like any less right, or it doesn't negate it just because it's something you hear all the time. So yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you this: anytime I've ever tried to, I've worried more about what people think of me, and the worse it's got. And I've done some stupid stuff to get people to like me. I that's you got to have confidence in yourself. And at one point in time, I was much more insecure, especially like when I was in high school. I was a very good baseball player, but I was insecure. So, I did some stupid stuff that when I should have been focusing on baseball, I was focusing on trying to get the people to like me. Let's look at number seven. So number seven is the Socrates adage, and this is what we're going to be talking about. This is essentially why we're talking about paradoxes, because we need to talk about Socrates and what he said. But number seven is, the more you learn, the more you realize how little you know. There's a big difference between intelligence, knowledge, and wisdom. Intelligence and knowledge is what you know. Intelligence is kind of like your capacity to know it, but wisdom is, that comes from experience, and experience speaks for itself. There's a reason why you can have there's a I know people that graduated from college like around the same time I did, that they had very good grades, they had a good degree, they had all these things going in their favor, but they didn't have experience. And so that job they were hoping to land right out of college, they didn't get because at the end of the day, like, experience teaches you a lot, teaches you things that you cannot get from like a textbook. Like I could read, like, I guess, you can look at it many different ways. Like, if you want to be a teacher, like, you can read books about wanting to be a teacher, but until you actually like get up and do it and just kind of learn from it, I mean, you're not going to get very far. And the that's just the reality of it. That's why, if you have a lot of experience in doing something, like, you know, like if you're most, I'm not saying most, but a lot of companies want, like, if they're a salesman, like business, salesmen, they want them to have like a degree in something. But there's plenty of salesmen out there that they don't have a degree in anything. They've just been doing it a while. And if you ask who's the better salesman, typically it's going to be the one that has more experience over the one that, has the better degree. Typically, I would think so. That makes sense to me. So, um, experience is a big teacher. I think it's the greatest teacher. So the more that you learn, the more you realize that, okay, well, I didn't know this to be the case beforehand, and now I do know it. So there's probably more that I don't know. That's it's both kind of a scary thought, but also kind of an enlightening and freeing thought. Is that you're not bound by knowledge. Like, you can gain more and more and more in many different areas. Like, I could be the smartest, most intelligent person when it comes to, I don't know, pick something, to how plastic is manufactured. I can know everything there is to know about it. But there's going to be something about fishing that I didn't know that I could learn. There's going to be something about music that I didn't know that I can learn. And then if I become the most knowledgeable person in that, okay, well, stuff about cars that I don't know that I can learn. So again, you realize how little you know the more that you learn. And again, that doesn't make sense, but it is a true fact. And as you guys get older, you'll realize that too. I guarantee it. Guarantee. I would put $1 million if I had. I'll put $1 million right now. I will put $1 million of money that I think that I will make that I do not have right now. I'm going to find a way. Maybe I have to. Nah, okay, maybe not $1 million. But anyways, I'll put my life savings on the fact that one day you'll realize number 7 to be true, even if you don't think it's true now. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. All right. Let's go to number 10. So number 10 means a lot to me, actually. Number 10. So I told you guys that in our little introduction that I did that I was writing a book. Now, I haven't been writing as much over the past month, just like with school being back in. It has been a little bit of a transition for me. So I haven't been doing as much writing, but I have done like some over the month. So I got like 180 some pages written already. And what this all spawned from, like the first part, I guess the first chapter that I wrote that got me started, I wrote about the rule for life: you can't be afraid to strike out. So when I was I guess I was a sophomore in high school, I played in this national wood bat tournament in Fort Myers, Florida. So Fort Myers, Florida is essentially like the spring training facility for half of Major League Baseball. There's really 2 spots. There is like Fort Myers, Florida, like that area, and then out in Arizona somewhere. But so like your West Coast teams, they go to Arizona for spring training. Your East Coast teams go to Fort Myers, Florida for spring training. Well, we were playing this national wood bat tournament down there. I was a sophomore, and I mean, I wasn't even part of this team, like, for good. Like, I was just kind of like an extra player. They just needed to kind of come down, fill a spot. I'd get to play a little bit, but it's not like I was paying to play for this team. Like, I was just kind of a guy they picked up because my coach, my high school coach, also coached this team. So that really kind of what got me in. But every game, like, there's college scouts. This is This is a huge spot for like recruitment, and we're talking about like there's some guys in the majors now that I played against or that played in that tournament, like Mike Moustakis, George Springer. Um, God, that was like five or so. Dietrich, Blake Dietrich. No, yeah, that's it. Anyways, a couple more too. So there's like major league guys, like future major leaguers down there. And we get down to that first game, and we're playing at 9 in the morning. It was on a Saturday, or excuse me, yeah, it was on a Saturday morning. We had driven from North Carolina all the way to Fort Myers Flats. It's about 13, 14 hour drive, or maybe 13, yeah, about 13 hour drive. We get to the hotel at like 7:30, check in, uh, change into our uniform, and then go straight to the field. Get there at 8, like so. Very little sleep. Anyways, let's fast forward a little bit. It's 2-0 going into the very last inning, and the opposing pitcher has a perfect game going. A perfect game. So, those of you that don't know what a perfect game is in baseball, it's when nobody reaches base. Nobody. The pitcher holds the opposing team to nobody reaching base. Nobody, yes, you could touch a bag, but nobody reaches base. It means no hits, no walks, no errors, no nothing. The perfect game. And this pitcher for the other team is throwing a perfect game in the National Wood Bat World Series or National Championships. It, it, this is huge. First game, he is throwing a perfect game. And with 2 outs, I come up to the plate. And what's going through my head the whole time is, dude, if you've ever seen anybody throw a no-hitter perfect game, even like majors, like you get to that last hitter, like there's a lot of anticipation. It's like, all right, get this guy, because everybody wants to see a no-hitter or definitely a perfect game. There's only been 27 thrown in Major League history, and so that's like over 100 years. It's wild, right? So, and there's 162 games each season, so do some math. Anyways, so the whole time I'm at the plate, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna break this up. I'm gonna find a way to get on base. Well, when I get 2 strikes on me, my focus then goes to, okay, don't strike out. Don't strike out. You can, hit a ground out, hit a pop fly, hit a foul ball that gets caught by the freaking catcher. Just whatever you do, don't strike out. And when your thinking turns into that, when you're that afraid to fail, you make yourself more likely to fail. And guess what happened? That dude, I'll give it to him. That dude, 3-2 count, 2 outs. If he walks me, his perfect game's over. He throws me this filthy curveball that I was not expecting. Froze me, boom, strike 3, I'm out. Game's over. I feel lowest of low. I called my mom and dad. They asked me how the game went because they had work. They couldn't go. They asked me how the game went. I told them, and I was like, I just want to go home. I was miserable. Now, I will say this, things would get a little bit better. And I would have some success in that tournament and when I went down to that tournament the following year as well. But if you're afraid to strike out, you're going to make it easier for yourself to strike out. The more available something is, the less you want it. This is just, I don't know why. I hate this one because you may really want something, but because everybody has it or because it's so easily accessible, you don't want it as much. Like music's a big one. Like people love music, but the more mainstream an artist becomes, it's like the more hate they get. Like there was a time, I'm serious. I'm 100% serious. When I was in 6th grade, Nickelback came out with How You Remind Me. Everybody loved that song. Everybody loved that song. But then as Nickelback kept becoming more and more mainstream, people started hating because now they're available more. Now they're on every radio station, not every radio station, but all the big radio stations. They're being played numerous times throughout the day. They're more available for you to listen to. And over time, now people talk about Nickelback being the worst band of all time, but I can assure you that's not true. There's a lot worse bands you've never heard of. But yeah, music's one with number 12 that really gets me. Because, yeah, the more available a band becomes or artist becomes, like they reach a point, and once they get to that point, people start wanting them less, even though they are, I guess, more and more popular. It's odd. It's an odd, but that's what it is. Paradox. Number 14. The more honest you are about your faults, the more people will think you're perfect. I've learned this through teaching, like through talking about like my own personal experiences and personal failures. When you tell people how bad you are at something or how you didn't do something well, people look at you in a better and like almost a greater light, because like one, it's hard to kind of admit your faults sometimes. So people look at you as having like courage and being brave in a sense, but also it shows humility, and people again kind of draw themselves to that quality as well. So it actually makes you look better even when you tell people about what you don't do well or that you've messed up with. Again, odd paradox, but try it out. Try it out. There's a reason why your parents can have like a terrible, like the worst punishment they're going to give you because they think you're lying. But when you tell the truth, they kind of lessen that punishment a little bit because people can accept that. People can accept you doing something that you know is tough to do or that is difficult. It's difficult to tell the truth. So when people do it, it's not always received welcomely. Sometimes it can be received in the opposite manner, but a lot of the times people just want to know the truth, and they, the punishment or the consequences isn't as sharp. All right, so let's see. Number 15, you'll learn about this one if you hadn't. You'll learn about this one. The more you try to keep somebody close, the more you try to smother them and not let them have space, the more they're going to want space from you. This is one that I've learned being married. Like there's times when my wife, like she just wants space from me. And the more I try to like make her spend time with me, the less she wants to. And the less she wants to spend time with me, the worse our marriage is. So it's kind of like a bird, right? So if you hold a bird in your hand, like you have to kind of give it some room. You have to let it fly away. You have to let it fly away and come back. You have to let it go search for food. You have to go let it build its nest, because if you smother it, you'll kill it. It's the bird analogy. I just kind of made that one up. Let's see. I'm gonna try to give you one more. I like number 20 because 20 is always. I think this is probably one of the greatest quotes. The only constant is change. That's not the quote. The quote I really like is by Herodotus. Is one cannot step in the same river twice. That river is different because, again, it's different water. Like you can look at a molecular level, different water molecules. You can look at it in terms of there's different, maybe different fish, or maybe there's different spots. Like you can never step in the same river twice. I can never come to school and it be the same school. Something has changed. Either, whether it's just that it's gotten older, there's different people here, what have you. Everything is in constant flux. Everything is always and forever changing. That's why the saying that all good things must come to an end is true. Oh. Clap on. Dang. All right, come on now. All right. Anyways, so the only constant is change. I guess I can just sit up. That'll do it. Yeah, everything's always changing. You are changing. Every single second of the day, you are changing. Every single second. Look at this on a cellular level as well. Like, look at if you know a little bit about biology and human anatomy, like you are forever always changing. Your ideas are always changing. Hopefully, if you're doing the right things, your ideas are always changing. Maybe not changing, but they're being altered in a sense. So I just wanted to give you a couple kind of, just kind of go in depth a little bit more, kind of give some personal examples of my own. Today, you guys probably, I know some of you are already working on it. Today, you guys are trying to answer some of the thought experiments of philosophy. So seeing if we can tie logic into some of these paradoxes. I want you to try it. See if you can do it. All right. See you guys later.